The relay is one of the most thrilling races in track and field. A team of 4 must seamlessly transfer a baton from one to the other without dropping it and without losing speed. Seems easy enough until you realize 2 things. The runners are handing off this small baton blindly and at speeds of up to 20 miles per hour. You can see how this applies to business. Transition and generational handoff is one of the most complicated activities business owners and their companies might ever perform. How can this be done honorably and smoothly? When family is involved, how do we ensure that children really earn the opportunities that they are given? Entitlement so often leads to botched handoffs. As they step up, how do we step back? What is the right balance in giving them the space they need to lead and even to fail? How do you let them stumble when you have so much personally tied into the business? Reuben Ang is the managing director of Hesed and Emet, the parent company of Elsie's Kitchen, Continental Delight, and Hesed Table Catering. He's also the 3rd generation running the business his grandfather started in 1954 in the canteens of British Royal Air Force camps. Based in Singapore, Reuben has experienced firsthand what it looks like to transfer something across generations. Let's watch.
Whenever there are people gathered together, there will be food. Food is a very emotional thing, right? It can really spoil your day or it can make the occasion. Food is central in those moments, in creating those memories together, but the sounds, the setting, the context of how we gather and how we consume, who we eat with, they all contribute to the plethora of emotions that we do experience within that moment. Striving to ensure that our services are delivered well will help them to center a lot about the relationships that would surround those events. The people that are gathered around, it really creates that moment and helps us to see that we are impacting people's lives.
Esteem others higher than yourself. We have to always think about it. But showing love and generosity through your concern. How are you today? Simple words like this.
I think what I admire most about my father is his generosity. There's a side of him that is very loving of people. He gives generously, and I think that's how he shows how he cares about people. And that extends to the family that we have here at Elsie's Kitchen as well. Elsie's Kitchen is a food service company, and we have footprint in food court management, professional kitchen management, institutional catering, but largely we are events catering company. Currently our team is made up of 120 full-time staff. We operate one of the largest central kitchens in Singapore, which is about 57,000 square feet. My grandfather's family business was in hardware, but he kind of came out to do his own thing, which was to service the Royal Air Force squadron canteens.
I remember I started to put butter to the buns at the age of 8 every morning. 2 of my sisters were assisting my father in running the outlets.
And that's why it's called Elsie's Kitchen, because Auntie Elsie was the one who was mainly cooking in the kitchen.
All my children started very young, just like me. Reuben also, when he was young, he already helping in the kitchen.
My parents didn't know about this, but whenever I was at home on the weekends or during the school holidays, I would play around with food a lot. My family had a lot of ingredients back home, so when they were not around, I would usually bring out ingredients and make all kinds of food creations with it. I think my early dishes were chocolate sundaes with all kinds of toppings. Of course, when I was 3, it was mostly sugar and butter that I was excited about. But I think that really sparked for me my interest in food.
As he grew older, they start doing waitering job during banquets. So they see how kitchen operates and all that, from here to there, how everything is being prepared, how things are run.
They didn't pressure me outright. They gave me the space to explore my career.
Now, I did not push him to come in, but I tell him that here is a business and we are getting old. Do you want to come in here or you want to go on? Well, he had a calling, and so he went into the youth discipling projects in universities and all kinds of things.
Part of the process was continuing to figure out my faith and how that interacted with the biblical worldview. Through my time in the Varsity Christian Fellowship, where I learned to read the Bible for myself. It came a point in time where, while I was doing a full-time Christian ministry, that my father also shared about the opportunities of selling the business. And we had a conversation about, is it now time for you to come back to the family business? And they left that decision to me.
He says, well, he is keen and he wants to do it. So after 2 years, I believe, or 2.5 years, he came.
I saw this eventually as a continuation of ministry work with the realities of the marketplace, about the systems that we had to interact with the norms that were affront to a biblical worldview, was going to be challenging and muddy.
But it was really an immersion for him. As a good coach, I will put you in so that you get a taste of it, like a swimming coach, of what struggling is all about. And then when you're going to drown, I'm going to jump in and save you.
Well, transitioning in a family business is challenging because there are gaps in understanding across the generations.
I know how to run the traditional type or running a business, but as far as coming to technologies and all that, it's a bit beyond me. So that has to get a younger, more vigor and more exposed to modern technology, and also the knowledge of the new know-how of running a business. And with his training as a business graduate, I believe he will complement.
So I began by taking stock of the business, and I understood a lot of the professional transformation that needed to be done. For example, changing compensation structures, it wouldn't make direct sense to them because nobody wants to pay more money for no reason. I think back then in the business, it was the norm to pay a certain way, and the market rate was not always fair. 10 to 20 years ago, it was the norm to declare a certain rate and to pay a different rate. So of course it was untruthful, and I know that had to change, for example. But that was the norm. So it didn't make sense for a business outright just to increase pay. But helping them to understand how that would transform into employee satisfaction, loyalty in the company, and how that would help our employees flourish in their own lives. And I think over time, it was clear to the board that making that hard decision to do the right thing would yield and has yielded increased loyalty among staff and satisfaction as well among the employees. I didn't always have a very clear and comprehensive frame that would drive all of my decisions. I got familiar with the redemptive frame, being more involved in digital mission ventures, which uses a praxis model of redemptive enterprises and redemptive frame, which helped me make sense of a lot of why we do what we do. As I understood the Bible and how the momentum of creation to new creation, that kind of allowed me to dialogue with every decision junction, whether it was how we pay, how we treat our competitors, how we dealt with our suppliers. That redemptive frame of making all things new and how we live and move in God's new kingdom shaped the decisions, and it helped me to make those policies that we did. Like I mentioned, it is a constant dialogue and a constant interrogation of the world that we are in, the norms that we participate in and we accept, and what it should be according to God's way of His new kingdom. But if we look at the holistic well-being of all our staff here, then there are different aspects of their lives that we have to be involved with. Looking at also their emotional well-being as well, right? Spending a lot of time meeting people. So having a listening ear, building those relationships, building the space and the culture where employees feel safe to share about what happens at home and how we as a business can help them to manage their workload, help them to manage the work arrangements so that they can deal with the challenges that they are facing.
As I say, love people, your client and your staff, your employee, people under you. Love encompasses many things. From love, you show compassion. People can feel it. And be charitable with your time, with your whatever God has blessed you with.
Paying people more is never easy, right? It doesn't always make sense traditionally to the market. Competitors would feel threatened. We serve, my father and I, we have served in the industry association in leadership positions, and we continue to serve the community. And that afforded us the space to talk to them as our friends and to assure them that we're not here to poach your stuff. We are here to treat our employees better. It doesn't make sense to you, but it's important for us, and we encourage them to also explore that. I think those are opportunities to have conversations about sharing about what is important to us, and it's about the flourishing of our staff. They may not always understand it in the faith-based terms we understand them, but they do appreciate how that can be, like I said, helping them to understand in the terms of customer in employee loyalty and employee satisfaction, and the morale of the staff as well. And I think definitely now that they see how our staff are doing, how our staff continue to work with us and how they're happy with us, that the other competitors are also appreciating what we are doing and why we are doing it. People choose us because they know that we are trying to do things differently. And what we are trying to do here in creating and ushering in God's kingdom is really just the beginning. We hope that what we do here will create ripples of effects in the community spaces that we are in, both where we are physically in Jurong West, but also in the spaces that we do touch through our products and services. And so it's an aspiration of a small family business, but we hope that as we spoil the market with the many things that we do, more than just pay, it can have impact that is more far-reaching than all the way in the west of Singapore.
In the last 5 years, Hesed and Emmett as a company has tripled in top-line growth. It has grown in scale, tripling in terms of volume and quadrupling its workforce. But what drives this family business are the basics: mercy, justice, and compassion. Reuben and his family want to do it right. They want to be that changing force like salt and light. Transitioning leadership and ownership of a business across generations is one of the most powerful ways entrepreneurs can model the heart of Jesus. Lifting up the next generation is reflective of what we read in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. The elder generation is secure, knowing they leave a legacy that will outlast them. And at the same time, the next generation is honored to carry on the work of the saints who have come before them. Transition can be the hardest and most rewarding part of being an entrepreneur. We just need to keep our eye on the real prize of building God's kingdom here on earth. Now talk about the session in your group and how it relates to the journey that you are on. Open yourselves up to learning from one another. Be transparent and honest with each other. What you get out of this time together will only be as enriching and life-giving as what you put into it. See you next time.